Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the Canadian Workshop. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're in the house today and we're working on this Creality Cr6-SE 3D printer. It's got a bad SD card slot, so it's not reading the SD card anymore. So we're going to replace it and I'm going to show you how. Let's get going. So I ordered these 10-pin SD card slots and I'll leave a link in the description below if you're interested in getting some to do this repair. So let's go ahead and get this puppy open. Now I took the 3D printer filament out. This model here has a drawer underneath with all the tools that we're going to need to fix this. So we're going to need an Allen key, and the first thing you got to do is take this screw out right here to free up the assembly underneath. Now that one screw is out, and of course the printer is unplugged, we need to lean the printer carefully on its back to access the underside of the panel. Now what I'm going to do is support the back side of the printer. So now the next steps is to remove these 3 screws. There's going to be one long screw at the bottom and 2 shorter ones at the top. And this cover has a fan on there, so you're going to want to unplug that fan and set that aside. Now the SD card slot is just up in here, and that's what we need to replace. So now what we're going to do is we need to remove this circuit board. Now there's a lot of hot glue holding these connectors in place, so we're going to have to carefully peel those away. I'm going to use an X-Acto knife and just go real nice and slow so I don't damage any of the components. And we kind of need to make note of where these wires go. I've made note of where all the wires go, and I numbered the wire and the socket so I can be sure to put them back exactly where they need to go afterwards. And I also took note of where these go. It's the solid black, solid red, red and black, and then the red that's tied in with that red and black. So that's the order from top to bottom. Now we're going to use the same Allen key that we used to open up this back panel. And we're going to remove the Allen screws that are here. Careful not to drop them inside the printer. There's 4 Allen screws on here. And this is where my microphone died on me. So what I'm doing here is using a desoldering braid to pick up some of the solder on the connections to make it easier to remove the SD card slot. And I'm going to start by removing the solder on the corners of the socket here. And then I'm going through and I'm just loosening up the pins at the back so I could remove the socket. Now we see the socket's out, and I'm going to use some 91% isopropyl alcohol in order to clean everything up. And then what I'm going to do is apply some flux to these solder joints, and I'm just going to go through with my soldering iron and just clean up these connections and make sure that there's solder on them, and then just give it one last wipe down here with some isopropyl alcohol. And I'm just testing the socket, make sure the SD card works and that it lines up nicely on the slot. And you saw there's a white outline of where the SD card should go, so you want to stick to that outline. And here I am, I'm just soldering it back in, heating up the connections, heating up all the solder joints, make sure all the pins are nicely soldered in and there's no cold solders. And I'm going to finish off by soldering the outside edges. Now I just inspected it and I noticed that there's a lack of solder on these joints, and I don't want to have a cold solder or any of these popping off. So I'm just going to add in just a touch more solder to make a better connection. And there, that's all done. I'm going to test the SD card and make sure everything works. Everything's nice and clean, and you want to be sure that there's no solder between the connections. And now it's just as easy as going through the process in reverse order that we used to remove the main board. So we just screw the board back on and then put the cables back in according to their proper sockets, since there is more sockets than there is cables there. That's why we just identified everything at the beginning. So I won't bore you with the reinstall, that's pretty straightforward, and we'll get to testing. Now we've got the 3D printer back together again. We've got it up on the bench and plugged in. Now what we're going to do is pop in the SD card and see if it works. Always remember those pins have to go up, not down. So we turned it on, and it should initialize the SD card if our fix worked, and it does. So we turned it on, we have the SD card in. Let's go print, and the SD card works. There we go, she's all fixed up and ready to go again. So thanks a lot for watching if you made it this far. And if you're interested in getting some of these SD card slots, I'll leave a link in the description down below so you can go online and order a set. So thanks a lot for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of any of my upcoming videos. We'll see you on the next one.